This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
It's Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in. Let's do this. You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway to the minds, the souls, the hearts, and the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. Let's go down the list. I am a new garbage disposal haver. I am a new nice mirror in my bathroom haver. I am a new ceiling fan on my ceiling haver. Basically, I had the weekend off and I had a repair guy come in here, a handyman, if you will, Steve, and fix up this apartment a little bit. It's needed it. Finally, a weekend off to do that. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler. I'll get into that garbage maybe a little bit later. Not necessarily the garbage, but, you know, the good stuff. We are live here in the studio. Apartment in Chicago, Illinois, that's basically refurbished due to Steven. Thank you, Steven. Before we go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. It gives you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support, rate, review, and subscribe. Please unsubscribe and resubscribe or tell your friends if they're having problems. It's due to the RSS feed after the Punk debacle that broke everything, and we're trying to recoup all of the people who can't get this anymore for some reason. That's a great way to support. Spread that word that way. Or if you do have a couple of bucks in your pocket, I didn't forget about telling people on Twitter also. You should do that. You could also give back monetarily. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, Wrestling Road Diaries on digital, on a hard copy. I'll sign it. Also, I have a new Lucha Skull winter hat, a beanie. That's up. A lot of fun stuff over there. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. Okay, a lot of stumbling in that first one, right? I had somebody over here, and I had him fix a whole lot of shit. I'm going to give you the dishwasher story right now. Before I tell you why Quiet Storm is important to have on the show, I'm going to give you the dishwasher story. I have been in this apartment since 2006. Now, when I got signed by the WWE, I left, and then Punk took it over for a couple years. I got fired. I came back. And basically, I don't think people know this. Punk and I both lived in this apartment here in Chicago, one in a bed, one on a couch. And let it be known, he was the world champion. So, like, the championship was just sitting on the floor. And we were in this tiny little apartment in Chicago. And basically, we were like, I think if we want to still be friends, you can't live in this tiny apartment with me anymore. And that was settled. He went on and got a different place. Same apartment, 2006, that I've been in Chicago. Dishwasher never worked. Dishwasher did not work. Kind of sad? It's okay. I live a sad bachelor lifestyle. I only use plastic knives and forks that I stole from Chipotle for years, and now I buy them at the dollar store. So I'm willing to shell out for the money, mainly because I don't eat Chipotle anymore. Not because it's not delicious, but, you know, can't lose that 35 pounds by eating Chipotle every day, right? Dolph Ziggler will tell you differently, but come on, we don't have the same genetics. The guy comes in here to fix all of these things. The radiators were broke. I needed some new stuff with the shower. I said, hey, while you're at it, grab this. Can you fix this dishwasher? It's never worked. Maybe I'd like to use it one day. Looks under the sink and goes, have you ever touched this switch before? I go, what switch? Flips a switch, runs the dishwasher. 8 years. 8 fucking years, I didn't flip a fucking switch. Unbelievable. Yeah. Things happen, right? Things happen like a podcast. Quiet Storm is on the show today. There's a couple other blunders that happened, but I'll leave you with the dishwasher story. Quiet Storm is on the show. Important to have. I wanted to save this one till after the giant New Japan pay-per-view. I had this weekend off, didn't wrestle. Nobody booked me. Am I going to cry? No, you know, that's what happens. Maybe my whole career is on a downslide. I don't know. I highly doubt it. Got some good stuff coming up. Upcoming events after the show. You know all about it. So I'm watching the New Japan pay-per-view, and I'm looking online. I'm seeing the stuff. First of all, last week I hyped Matt Striker as being amazing for hyping up those shows on YouTube. This week for just being great at describing everything while people watched it. I loved it. I love the fact that, like, maybe people are, you know, I'd like to think with what I've been doing for the last 5 years, it's like I'm championing other wrestling. That's kind of been the goal. So many of you guys have said, like, Colt, this is amazing. Before I listened to your podcast, I didn't know about this other world besides a WWE and a TNA. And now, not just me, but like through this whole New Japan pay-per-view craze that went on, I feel that people really got to see another side. And because there's money involved, and money's important when you want to make a giant awesome thing. So like, I mean money in terms of production. It looked like a real thing in a different country, and people then knew about it because the language was their language, thanks to Jim Ross and Matt Stryker. So it's a whole nother world. And what I'm getting to is Quiet Storm is on the show, and he lives in a whole nother world. He is a pro wrestler, a full-time pro wrestler. He talks about having over like 250 matches in 1 year last year. This is his job. He was not lucky enough, I guess, like a couple of us in the early 2000s, to make a little bit of an indie name for yourself so that we can get a buy on the independents in America. You know, Quiet Storm came back to America a couple years ago, and he tried to get bookings. He tried to become this independent sensation, and it just wasn't able to happen because the buzz of his stuff in Japan hadn't traveled over to America, which is sad and upsetting. But I like the trend that's happening now because the Young Bucks, Rocky Romero, Alex Kozlov, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Kenny Omega, they are getting a deserved buzz, and hopefully that translates over to America. You see what it's doing for Fergal right now, and hopefully it happens for these guys. So this is Quiet Storm. Listen to his story. He is quiet. You know, he is quiet. Maybe I'm the talker in this podcast, but they don't call him Quiet Storm for nothing. But I love the story. I really, really love the story. He was on tour with me in Japan doing the Global League for Noah. He's over there full time. That's where he lives. He lives in Osaka. He is a pro wrestler. He speaks the language like you and I. It's a different life story. I think it's the coolest. I think it's inspiring. I hope it inspires you. And we all can't be American independent darlings, if you will. What's the next step? You go to Japan and you become a Japan independent darling. And then you learn the fucking language. He speaks it fluently. It's unbelievable. It's a great story. It's heartwarming to me, I'll be honest. Song of the Week this week is brought to you by Suplex Apparel at suplexapparel.com. When I was on this tour in Japan, in Noah, with Quiet Storm, Zack Sabre Jr. was also on the tour with me, and all he wore was Suplex Apparel. He had the banner at Korakuen Hall in Tokyo and all over Noah TV, and basically he had a suitcase full of only Suplex t-shirts and running gear. They got a great roster, including Zach, Dave Mastiff, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, who you saw in the New Japan pay-per-view. Even Finn Balor himself consists of this pro wrestling team who dons the Team Suplex moniker. It's a pro wrestling-focused clothing line for wrestlers and for fans alike. They will ship worldwide based out of the UK. Grab yourself some authentic Suplex gear today at suplexapparel.com. Now, the song this week was suggested by Miguel Rubio. It's in a language that I can't understand, I'll be honest, but it had a lot of hits on YouTube, so it must be pretty good. And it's about El Santo, you know, the wrestler. It's by Los Botelios. Oh, I butchered that so bad. You know, I feel bad when I'm in Japan and I can't understand the language, but Los Botelios? That can't be right. It's called Guacaraca del Santo. Even I probably said that one wrong, but you get the idea. Enjoy it. Enjoy this Latin flavor, and then we'll be back with Quiet Storm.
Hello, hello.
You on?
I'm on.
Good. Quiet Storm.
Hello.
Now you read this in the iTunes preview, and it says Quiet Storm. How quiet can we get today?
As quiet as you want to get.
No, I don't. Have you ever done anything like this? Have you ever done anything like
No,
this?
I've never done an interview before.
And never done an interview before.
In like an American terms, like a radio or what?
Sure.
Never.
Never. What about like? Have you gone to a local radio station in Japan?
I've done like little TV shows and like magazine shows, but nothing in America.
Never sold yourself.
No, not in
As a
America.
human being.
No, I think once when I was on the Indies, I did like a little email answer questionnaire thing.
Do you remember which one it was?
I think it was the Super 8 one for 2009, and it was like
Just for the ECWA
the
website.
homepage, yeah.
Were you in the Super 8 in
2009? Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, that's funny. I didn't even know that because we met. Not we met. Did we meet?
That's the first time we met.
It was the first time we met,
Yeah,
and we
first time.
tagged, and it's on the Best of Colt Cabana Volume 2,
Yeah.
2001.
I was your little Cabana boy.
Yeah, it was you and I. I think I've told this story before, but it was you and I against the SATs.
No, it was Joel and Red.
Was it?
Was it Joel and Red?
No, I don't think so.
SATs.
I think it was the SATs
Okay. It was
versus you
SATs.
and I.
Okay.
And the thing is that Kettner was there to scout
Yeah, we drove with him that day.
for Super 8 tournament. You, SATs,
Daniels,
Red.
Christopher Daniels.
Right. Well, Daniel's he was a vet of the Super 8. But, myself and Punk, none of us ever made the Super 8. We weren't good enough or something, something went down.
You weren't to his liking.
Yeah. And so eventually, but you made the call. Although he was gone by that point, wasn't he?
No, he was still there.
Oh, okay.
He was there. Yeah. It was years ago, though. Way after that.
Did you feel? I mean, did you feel some kind of like vindication? Like listen, I'm not here to say that. Not that it isn't what it was, but we all I think we all knew what it was back in the day when we all tried to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
But was it still kind of nice to be like, hey?
It was. I thought it was kind of cool. You still got the PWI, the pro wrestling thing. You still got a little page there, but you could still feel like it wasn't like what it was 10 years ago after Ring of Honor, and
Right.
And all that
But
stuff.
you were. I like the idea. You were told no, but you went back and you eventually did it. Me, not so much. Never made that calling.
Eventually got it. Yeah.
I wonder if Punk he's gone, but he's like, you know what? If Super 8 called,
I would come back. I would definitely come back.
so we'll get into all of your fun, but the podcast itself, it's like a human piece, a human interest kind of thing, I think.
Okay.
And it's mainly about like our struggles to become pro wrestlers, what we've gone through, and like
Okay.
why, this, I don't know if you know the podcast world, but there's a lot of guys who've been very successful in wrestling.
Okay.
And, and have podcasts, but it's like, I feel that due to my, not like never hitting that mainstream, whatever, my heart lies with people still trying
To make it.
to
I
make
guess.
it, yeah, or going through that struggle, but
Kind of
not.
like a journeyman. type of
Yes,
thing.
yes. And I was told journeyman is a bad word. Your thoughts
Really?
on that? What are your,
I used to think like journeymen were like minor leaguers that struggled all the way and then they made it. That's my opinion of a journeyman. I don't really know the true.
I don't
meaning
think it's a
behind
bad.
it. I don't.
But
yeah.
that's. So my friend was like, "You don't want to be a journeyman. You want to be a superstar." So but for me, I have a place in my heart for the journeyman.
Yeah, but I guess in wrestling, like it's like if you're really, really, really good, it doesn't mean you're really gonna make it. In like baseball, I mean, if you're really, really good, you're gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of like suck, you can be in the minors for a little bit. But if you're in wrestling, you're gonna be really, really good. You'd be in the indies forever.
Right. Well, it's a
So-
subjective. It's not. It's a subjective industry.
Yeah, I mean,
That's done a lot of people's heads in, and I'm glad it's fun that you like right off the bat. I mean, you know that
yeah.
it
If you're
doesn't mean-
really, really, really good, you're still not guaranteed to
Nothing.
make it.
Yeah.
But if you really, really suck, you have a good chance of
have a good
making it too.
more than likely you will. Unlike any industry, I guess not unlike any industry, because you could say, I mean, I guess any art really,
Yeah.
which is tricky for people trying to make a
But
profession.
it's like wrestling is like unique that way. It's like you explain it to like somebody who doesn't know about it, they'll like look at you and like, What are you stupid? What are you keep trying to do in this for? You know?
So in saying that, I've had guys on here before who like, I just love the idea that you live full time in Japan, and I've had guys on the podcast who have like done extensive tours, and even to an extent, like let's say a guy like Fergal or even Machine Gun.
Yeah.
You know, they lived here, but technically
They go back and forth.
they'd go home.
Do you get the guys that like go one tour and then they put their wrestling name on katakana
In Japanese, yes. I think I made fun of Shane Hayes for that, and he's like, I can do it because he has it. But I've made fun of those people before.
You know, I tell you a little story. When I first started coming here I used to go 3 months at a tour and then come back for like a month. And I would come back for like a month and do like a little show here and there. And I would see a guy that would do like a week tour, and he would come back. He'd be like, "Oh, Nani." You know, they start talking and it would get me so mad.
Hold on. Did you not do that your first time though?
No,
not at all.
No. Like the worst thing I did was like I would wear the T-shirt that I got that
To the show.
To the show.
Yeah,
I went to Japan.
Yeah.
you know? But then after a while, the novelty kind of wears off. You know, like I've been here for like 3 years, and you've been there for like a week.
Right.
You know?
But it's fun to make fun of those people. But we all had
those moments.
Yeah. And I think it's fun for those people. Hopefully, they'll all look back, including ourselves, to be like, maybe I shouldn't have walked around that Ribera jacket.
Yeah.
You know, like,
the Ribera jacket.
right. Or come back from that tour of Europe and said cheers to everybody for a week, you know, which people will do. And I probably did myself. You've gotten to the point where, right, and I think that's the fun part. As a wrestler, you get to the point where you get past that, like telling that one
Some
guy.
guys don't get past it.
Right. It makes you a better person. Nani. What's Nani? I don't even fucking know.
What?
What? Oh, what?
Like if
Nande I knew. Oh, God, I don't even know Nani. Oh, what's wrong with me? I wish I knew. So you're full-time living here.
Yeah, full-time living here.
Your house is here.
Living here, yeah.
You don't have a car. Do you have a car?
No, I don't have a car.
But if you were... Do the Japanese have cars more than they don't?
The train system's real good here, so you could live a good life without a
I would say
car.
compared to America, but you're from New York, so like no one had a car anyways in New York.
No. Like I got a driver's license, but I never really drived. I drove 8 times.
In your life?
8 times in my life, and I got my driver's license.
Well, what? So who told you to go get? Did somebody like tell you to go get your driver's license?
Like remember when we were in the Indies, where we used to like bum rides from people. Like, please give me a ride. You got to get your license. You're not professional. I used to hear that a lot. So when I was like 27, I got my driver's license. I went to like driving 8 times. I took 8 lessons.
Oh wait, hold on. Oh, so I thought you had gotten your driver's license and then you have driven 8 times since then.
No,
you took the test 8 times.
No, I took like 8 lessons.
Oh, lessons.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, in New York, you pay for like an hour lesson, like $35. Took like 8 lessons, and then I took the test, and in the test, I parked back, and I hit the curve, and then the dude next to me, the testing guy, was like, "You hit the curve." I was like, "Oh man, I failed. I know I failed." So I did the thing, and then the thing finished, and he gave me like a little paper. That means I passed.
Good Lord.
And I was like, well, it was Christmas at the time. I was like, oh, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
You're lucky. Do you celebrate Christmas?
I do, yeah.
What now? I learned your. See, this is where ignorance will come. Are you Christian?
I'm Christian.
You're Christian,
yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
you're Puerto Rican? No.
Well,
Cuban.
my mother's Cuban.
Cuban.
Yeah, my father's from Spain.
From Spain.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get into it a little bit. You were born in America?
I was born in New York, yeah.
Okay. And you have a parent from Cuba, a parent from Spain.
Yeah, no American blood.
And how did they meet?
I think my father was like a freaking cook. He was a cook, and my mother was living. My mother came to the States when she was 16 because of the Castro whole thing, whatever. Mm-hmm. But she didn't come on a boat. She came on a plane.
So they met in America?
They met in America, yeah.
Well, the New York story.
Yeah.
Right? And you're from Manhattan
I was
proper?
born in Queens, but raised in Manhattan, in the city.
Wasn't there a song What song am I thinking? Do you know? Midnight Harlem. Midnight Harlem. I was born in Queens. There's a Wyclef song there somewhere. Okay. All right. Wait. I mixed that. Wait. Born in Queens.
Raised in the city.
In the city. In the proper city. And where... and they say what? It's the melting pot, right?
I guess, yeah.
Of just everybody from everywhere.
Yeah, it was like taxi cab guys that got like big things on their head.
That's it. That's what I love when I say melting pot. You think of taxi guys with big things. I think of like Hispanic of all different
yeah.
cultures.
Chinese got
Yeah.
big Chinatown there.
So like your like school, like what was the ratio of people
What do you mean? It was
in
big
like
school?
going to like education and stuff?
What do you mean? Like,
Middle school, junior high, high school.
like different kind of races? you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Was it all
a bunch.
whiteys? All
No.
black dudes?
It
Yeah.
was like different kinds of races and stuff like
and
that.
everything.
Yeah.
Do you feel? Oh man, like I just went to a straight up white school. Maybe 4 black people.
No. There was like a whole bunch of like black kids, little Spanish kids, Chinese kids, and stuff like that.
I guess I kind of want to. I'm intrigued a little bit about like not like racism, but tolerance to other people. Do you feel that like because you're so everything? There's such a what's the fucking word I'm thinking of? A mixture of people. Like, was that even in your mind? Or do you
No.
feel like it was very
Like making
easy?
friends or whatnot,
Yeah, or just like
socializing.
yeah, or how you view different cultures and different people.
No, like see when I was real young, I got into wrestling real quick. So the way I would make friends was like if this guy liked wrestling, I would automatically be his friends. so that's the only way I would think about life through
So
wrestling.
it's been wrestling for
For as like 8 years old, that's all I thought
forever.
about. Yeah.
And what was it?
The first show I watched?
Yeah, what got you?
Wrestling Challenge.
Okay, just Saturday morning,
It was Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it was changing the channels. Like, and they
expecting
were-
cartoons.
Yeah, they were doing like a WrestleMania 8 recap.
Okay.
And then when Hogan was getting beat up by Papa Shango and Sid, and then Warrior comes out, I was like,
It's like for as much as people shit on wrestling today or whatever, and they'll always shit on it. You
They'll
know?
always, yeah,
But like when
always.
you're 8, fucking Papa Shango is the greatest.
it's the greatest. That angle when the black thing came out of Warrior's
Yeah.
face, that was the craziest thing I've
Do we
ever
know how
seen
that
in
was
my life.
done?
No.
You ever research that?
No.
We should research it. Because what was it? I always thought like maybe it was like he wore a wig or
It
something.
looked so real, and then he like puked on national TV. It was sick, man.
I don't know if that was tar. Like, I'd love to know. Just man, this is for a different show, but just like who went over.
Like
Like,
to throw like fireballs on people. He
Yeah.
was like the coolest character ever, man.
I'd love to know the practice that went into like the before the show practice of doing that tar coming down, and the guy who's like Vince is like, we need the tar guy for Papa Shango.
And Warrior running through it. The tar's gonna come out my eyebrow, and
Yeah, we need it to look perfect, Vince. And then is the family wrestling obsessed too?
no, they
Just
don't
you.
know anything about wrestling.
Okay, who's in the family?
My mother, my father left when I was like 3 or
Okay.
4, but my mother and my grandmother were
So,
there.
were you raised by your mom and your grandma?
Yeah, I was made by my mother.
Do you
and my
have
grandmother.
siblings?
No, only
Just
child.
you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, only child.
Oh, I guess you can't expect. Do they tolerate your wrestling?
Yeah, my mother more so than my grandmother. My
Sometimes it's grandmothers like they loved. They're like, I would go watch Bruno Sammartino. I don't know.
Like every time I would get hurt, she would always like, it's his mother's fault. She's the one that encouraged.
Oh
him
wow!
to be a
But I'm saying
wrestler.
obsession as a kid before you got into wrestling.
What do you mean?
I mean, were they like, oh, we'll take you to the shows or we'll let you?
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
wrestling
I used to go every month to Madison Square Garden.
every month.
Every month.
That's-
Every time there was a show there, I would go.
Who would you go with?
I would go with my mom.
Your mom would take
Yeah,
you.
my grandma would never go.
Right, and I'm wondering, like, is she having? Do you see her? Do you look over and see her having fun, or
Oh, she loved it.
Okay, she
Yeah,
got
she
into
loved
it.
it. She loved it. To this day, like every time she would see, she calls home. She calls here, and she would see like I saw WWE the other day. It wasn't very good. You know,
you're not 8, Mom? Pop Shango's not running
it
down.
wasn't
So-
very good. You know, I mean,
They
you're
need
better off
you.
over there.
Oh, I thought they
you're
need
better.
you.
You're better off in Japan. You know.
That's great. So you finally get into it, right? Obsessed all through high school,
All
wearing
through
the
high
shirts.
school. wearing not to school,
Okay.
but at home I would wear them like when watching the pay-per-views and the,
With a group
and
of
the
friends?
show. No, by myself.
Okay.
Everyone at that time, wrestling wasn't cool. Everyone was like, "Oh, wrestling's fake. What do you like wrestling for? Wrestling's fake." You know, I had like 2 or 3 friends.
Right. They would come over, or not? I mean,
They would come over sometimes, but
I was the same way. Like, there wasn't many wrestling. I was
Yeah.
obsessed.
yeah, there were some people that kind of liked it, and then when they would watch it, they would be like, "Oh, that's fake. That's fake." But it's not fun to watch it with somebody like that. So I was like,
Yes.
"No, man, don't come over."
Yeah, fuck off, man. Go like baseball. And then you finally just jump into it.
Yeah, man. When I was like 12 or 13, I started reaching. How do you get into it? You got to go to wrestling school, right? You got to go to wrestling school. And I think Johnny Rods was like $2,000 or something.
Right.
I don't got money. I was 13, man. So yeah, and I researched, and I used to go to the Elks Lodge. Remember that building?
Of course.
ECW. Yeah, I used to go when ECW used to have the shows, and I found out there was like a little ring in Brooklyn, and you could go there and you could train how to wrestle. Pay $35 a month.
A month.
Yeah,
Nice.
And I went, and then that's how my wrestling.
You're like, that's
thing-
way better than
Johnny
$3,000.
Rods, man. Screw that. I'm not paying 2 G's, man.
At 13 or 14?
At 14, I went.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, because I was thinking the other day, because I was thinking of our ages, and so when we had that tag match,
I was 17.
Jesus, I was gonna say you must have been 18.
Yes.
And I was thinking like, oh, did he get really good in like 1 year? You know, if he was 17, like if he started at 17 and like
17.
he was 18,
yeah.
so you did start at 14.
14, yeah, at that little ring in Brooklyn.
And is it? Paint me a picture of this place.
That place is, you would be surprised who was there. Low Key was there. Homicide was there. Hit Squad, remember Hit Squad?
Of course.
was
So
there.
you just walk in one day on your own. Your mom take you.
My mom took me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was.
Did she sign off for you or?
Yeah, she had to sign like a waiver.
All right.
And it was like a church. Can you imagine that? It was a church. In the back of the church, there was like a little attic or whatever, and then you would go upstairs, and then there was the ring there, and then some little Spanish guy playing Latino salsa music with the ring there, and then
What does that mean? Well, who's the Spanish guy?
it was called Pedro. He's like a local wrestler, and that was the guy who ran the place.
Oh, I thought like he was the mascot who just sat in the corner.
No, he was just like this little old. He was kind of jacked up, you know. He's
Yeah.
like 50 years old, and he used to wrestle back in the day, and that was his little ring and promotion.
And would he like, that's cute? Like, would he tell stories to everybody or?
He would tell stories, but nobody would believe the stories.
Everyone thought he was full of
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Did you ever like check back and like figure out? Like, do you ever go back and do like research of like
No,
maybe he was
no.
legit? Like, he
No,
was,
like you see like little pictures, but like nobody would know.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said, he knew Pedro Morales.
of course he did. That was like all there. That's the best, right? That's got to be the best.
But the place was called Arena Puerto Rico Professional Wrestling.
oh, so it wasn't the doghouse?
No,
but,
it wasn't the doghouse.
Okay.
It was before the doghouse.
And did you find like like did all these other people just happen to come from like different areas in New York and like?
From the top guys? Or at that
No,
time?
I'm saying like, so you go to a school, you're 14, and then there's all these other different people who are also there training.
Yeah, and then like some indie guys would come and just to practice.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a company called PCW. I don't know if you remember. It was like the ECW and PCW. I know you train with them and trying to learn from them.
Did you find like you found like a lot of like-minded people, or like it was just interesting the different types of people that would come to this garage with the Spanish guy playing salsa music?
Like you would see guys that wouldn't know what they're doing, that you could just tell this guy doesn't know anything, and then you could tell guys that this guy kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, and then
So just all walks of life.
yeah, I
guess
went
for-
there every day, man.
every day.
For
How far from your house?
like 2 hours. I'd take the train by myself from Manhattan all the way to Brooklyn
Wow. But a wrestling ring, they're letting you wrestle.
every day.
Your obsession.
$35 a month.
Yeah. And
the
you got to make, are you like, I got to make the most of this 35, or just like, I can't believe I'm going to a wrestling ring?
No, I was already planning. I was like, all right, I got to do this move. I got to learn this move. I
Okay.
gotta learn this move, and then I'm gonna get signed to WCW.
Is-
And
ah.
I had everything all planned. And
Because that's funny. Because I wanted to know like how you, because where you're at right now is such a weird position. Like what you thought going into a wrestling school, like where you thought your career or your trajectory would be. Because
Like
this is
success wise.
yeah, or just I don't know. Like, did you ever picture like just living in Japan as a pro wrestler?
You know something? I first saw a video of Japan and I was like, I'm gonna go to Japan. I'm gonna make my career in Japan.
Okay.
And
So-
that's
Is it the exact same as you thought it would?
like
I don't
pictured it.
know, but I know you picture like doing Super Juniors in front of 70,000 people like Liger,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I would never picture it like that, but I mean,
But then,
literally-
come on. I mean, like, let's be honest. And then you find yourself like wrestling in an Osaka warehouse.
yeah,
You know. Okay. I mean, I want to get. I don't want to. I don't want to skip through a lot of stuff, but I do want to get to a lot of the Japan stuff and the lifestyle and how you've changed your life, completely changed your life to do what you're doing now. I think a lot of people recognize the name. They know you as this guy from the, I guess, East Coast indie scene.
the guy used to storm Cradle Drive.
There it is. Early 2000s
2000,
with the
yeah.
SATs, Brian XL. There's a whole crew of you
Amazing
guys.
Red.
Amazing Red. And you guys all came from just the same school, the same area. Like you guys all kind of clicked together.
We met at that little church.
Okay, it's all
place.
from that church.
Yeah, and then we started with like, we got to get out of this place. This place
Right.
sucks. We gotta.
And I imagine it's kind of the same way a lot of I had people in my school and other people. It's like you guys practice your moves or whatever so much that once you get so good at it together, once you bring that show on the road to a different promotion, they're like, holy shit, because you've done it
Yeah,
5,000 times together.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we were doing some crazy things back in the day, man. Like flying and doing all the stupid, unnecessary things.
Yeah. But I mean, together, you guys, it was like almost a lot of you guys brought the show on the road, right? Like
Yeah,
between
yeah.
the 4 of you, 5 of you, Divine
Like
also.
6 of us sometimes in a two-door car.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so how does Japan kind of come through?
Well, I did a tour of Puerto Rico in 2001, and at the time, Taka was living in Puerto Rico while he was under contract with WWE.
Taka Michinoku.
Taka Michinoku.
Yeah, that's where he was stateside?
That's where he was living, yeah.
I couldn't have told you that. It's interesting.
Yeah, because he was buddies with Victor, and Victor would handle like all his paperwork and whatnot.
Okay.
So yeah, and then he had a dojo in Puerto Rico. So we went with Rob Feinstein and Doug Gentry. They were the one that got us booked to Puerto Rico. And then we went to the dojo, and he was like, "Why don't you wrestle my guys? Like to test whatever."
So you did IWA, is that
IWA Puerto Rico.
okay?
yeah.
And what, you just did like a weekend loop kind of thing?
We did a week tour.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And while you were there, you hooked up with Taka.
Taka, we did the dojo, and he like taped our matches or whatnot.
I want to say, like, I mean, you were pretty into wrestling at that point, but Taka was on television. Was
Yeah.
there a little bit of awe?
Yeah, there was a big wow. Look how big his calves are.
To Taka Michinoku?
His calves were huge at
Really?
the time. Yeah, I mean, his calves were huge, man. He's taller than me. All the guys are like ripping me. He's taller than you, John. You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. Look, he's taller than you, and he looks so little on TV.
Right. Because there's always like, well, fuck if this guy can make it, but he's still bigger than you.
Yeah. His calves are like huge.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you are, because he's on television
Yeah.
and taking time to just hang out with you and some rookies or some dojo guys, huh?
Yeah, he had all his students like when he started the dojo, he put an ad here, I guess, in Japan. Like, if you want to learn how to be a wrestler, come to Puerto Rico.
God, that's a long way.
Yeah, that's what they did in touring when Dragon Gate started in Mexico. People would go to Mexico, so he kind of like ripped off the idea. Instead of Mexico, he put the dojo in Puerto Rico.
And so people were just flying themselves to Puerto Rico?
fly in Puerto Rico, and they would live there for like a year. A lot of the guys lived there for a year. They got visas, and they stayed in a little dojo in Puerto Rico.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Who's came out of that? Do we know?
Do you know any Miyawaki?
Yeah.
Yeah, Miyawaki came out of there. Mashimo Kengo came out of there. Apple Miyuki. A lot of girl wrestlers.
I'm just
guy
shaking my
wrestlers.
head.
Yeah. A lot of guys that long stays there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so so that's your first hookup with Taka.
Yeah.
And then
I really wanted to go to Japan, and he was like, "Well, I'm going to start my company in a year." And I was like, "Oh, you know how wrestling is, like everything, like it all turns out to be not so what it is or whatnot."
Sure, bullshit.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess he started and whatever. And he did start, and I was like, man, I want to go. So I called him up. I found his number,
Japanese number? Or?
his Japanese number.
So you called him in Japan.
I called him from America to Japan.
All right.
And I was like, yo, remember me? He thought about it. Yeah, I remember you. I want to go. But there's not much money. He explained like the basics, whatever. You stay 3 months? Yeah, I'll stay 3 months. Okay. And then from there.
So, and that's a typical American or gaijin, if you will, right? You come over, you stay 3 months at a dojo, right?
At the time, yeah.
I mean that's
To this day, I guess, yeah.
yeah, right. I mean, that's what the Noah guys
Yeah.
do. You'll stay for 3 months. I think
Yeah.
that has to do with visa stuff, though. Really,
Visa stuff, yeah. You
Yeah.
get like a 3-month visa.
So at the time, you're like, I mean, you're not banking. WCW's closed, right?
WCW's closed. ECW's closed. There's nothing. There's only WWE.
Were a lot of you guys thinking like you'd get into ECW? A lot of the New York guys. I guess that had to have been like
We went to the ECW school, man. That's how we got when we met Mikey in 2000.
Oh fuck, you're a Mikey student too, right?
Yeah, we
okay.
met Mikey in 2000, and we went to the House of Hardcore school back when ECW was around. Like, we're gonna get signed to ECW.
Yeah.
We were there, and then bam, 2001 comes out. ECW went out of business, guys.
Because Chicago, I mean, that wasn't like we had nothing, but that's all that was in your backyard. Yeah, we had
Yeah.
nothing to really aspire to except for
Yeah.
WCW. I mean, it seems like ECW would have been a real close reach for a lot of indie guys.
Yeah. There was always talk that we were gonna do like a dark match on like a pay-per-view or whatnot, but nothing ever came out of that. We met actually the day that, remember Living Dangerously, like it never happened. Like Guilty as Charged was the last pay-per-view
Okay.
in January, and in March there was another scheduled one, Living Dangerous, but it never really happened. On the day that it was supposed to happen, we actually met Dreamer like at an indie show. And I'm like, man, guess it's not happening.
Okay, so it's not so you go over for 3 months
Yeah, 3 months.
and you're like, America's not happening, or you're like, maybe I can make this.
Well,
move
I
to
always
Japan?
wanted, like, when I was still in the ECW there, when I was like, man, I want to go to Japan and I want to make a career in Japan, whatever. And then at the time, my friends went to, Red went to All Japan. And then Joel and Kelvin went to 01. And I was like, oh, I want to go.
And they're all coming back with their Ribera
jackets. And like, John, Japan is awesome, man.
They're all saying Nane.
Eh, Japan is awesome, man. We eat Ribera Steakhouse, whatever. So yeah, I got a little company, Kaientai Dojo. So I actually went for 3 months.
Okay, and in the Kaientai Dojo.
Yeah, Kaientai Dojo.
Okay, and then from there, I mean, kind of take me through how you take. I guess through the idea that you now speak fluent Japanese.
Yeah, I didn't speak any Japanese.
Right.
I didn't know. I've never been out of the country. When I first got to Japan, I got to Japan. I was 19. I never been out of the country. I never had a stamp on my passport. So take a 14-hour flight. Bam, you're in Japan.
Someone picking you up.
Yeah, Miyawaki picked me up.
Okay, and you stay in the dojo and you do the dojo stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was crazy at the first, like, when I first got there, I had like a little ego, whatever. Like, man, I'm pretty good. I know how to wrestle. And I remember they were like bumping me and giving me hip tosses. Like, go higher on the hip toss. I was like, man, I guess I'm not that so good after
Did you
all.
have an ego? Could they tell you had an ego, or it was kind of like inside of you?
No, it was kind of inside of me.
You just went there with I'm ready to do this, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready to start my life in Japan.
On top of the card right away in Kaientai Dojo. I mean, I get and just, I mean, that was 2001,
That was 2003.
2003. So I mean, we're in 2014. What's happening in those 9 years?
Well, when I first got there, I was doing just Kaientai Dojo shows. And then I got a call from Taka. He was like, yo, you want to work Michinoku Pro Wrestling? I was like, yeah, man, I want to work Michinoku Pro Wrestling. I started doing Kaientai and Michinoku Pro Wrestling under a mask while I was in Michinoku.
As what?
Summer Santa.
Okay.
Summer Santa.
Which is kind of infamous in its own.
Yeah.
Which explain when they
It
gave
was
you.
the best gimmick
What?
ever,
Why?
man. When I first got it and I started doing it, I was like, man, I want to do this my whole life. It was the best. The gimmick is it's summer, so it's Santa Claus. So Santa Claus is angry because it's hot. So instead of giving like good presents, he gives like bad presents because he's in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So I would give out like the ice cream cones, like where when you push and the thing pops in your face. I would go up to little kids like ho ho ho, and then they would have a happy face and pop it right in their face and whoopee cushion right in their face.
You were a clown.
Yeah, I would give like spiders to old people.
And I guess maybe give a backstory of Michinoku to like, is it based around those weird characters and weird gimmicks? I mean, that's where Daniel's got Curry Man, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it's what you make of it, right?
Yeah, it's what you make of it, I guess. I did little dances. Little dances that would come out with the coolest music. It was so cool, man.
And you had more characters and more gimmicks throughout the years, or no?
I had a monkey character that was like it lasted for like a week.
Okay. Because why? How do you get a monkey character and then it get taken
It
away?
was like a week tour. It was like, oh, we're gonna do a monkey character.
Are they like, who wants it?
No, you're gonna be the monkey. And I was like, okay, I'll be
Who
the monkey.
says you?
I think it was Jinsei Hakushi.
Hakushi.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're rolling with some pretty
dude.
with the guys that the Americans know, and hence who you would know too, right?
Oh, dude, I knew them all.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I would call Red sometimes, like, oh, Mom, I'm the bus with Sasuke. I rode on the bus with Sasuke. He took his mask off. You know.
I love it.
He took his mask off, Red.
And these are these were always like the underrated juniors of Japan.
Yeah.
And now you're.
I would watch a lot of Michinoku Pro actually before I went to Japan. I was like, man, this is the coolest company ever. Mm-hmm. Everybody was on it. I would work Togo, Dick Togo, Sasuke, Jinsei, all these guys. Oh man, you know.
And now you're intermingling with it. You're one of them, basically.
Yeah.
Did you find were you accepted by the boys, the wrestlers into the locker room? Did it take a while?
I thought I was accepted pretty good. They were like, "Oh, this guy's young. He's 19, you know, and helping me out a lot." Yeah.
And then how do you learn the language? Were you a good student?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was an awful student.
But is this more like, hey, like I have to learn if I want to live?
Like everyone like kind of speaks some sort of English here, so you're not gonna go starve or anything like that. But as the years went on, I didn't start learning until like 2007. Like I didn't put myself into it. And then,
Maybe I should start learning this thing, right?
and then like people would talk, and then is he talking about me? Is he talking about me? So eventually, man, I'm gonna get really, really into it.
So out of frustration, it has to be out of like. I get frustrated.
Yeah, it's like, man, if I want to stay here, if I want to live here, if I want to make a career out here, I got to learn the language. This is the least I could do. So I was like, I bought books, and I would study every freaking day, man. Every day for like 8 hours writing my book. I would watch TV and write and hear words that you would constantly hear, write them down, and look them on dictionary and see what they meant and try to use them in sentences.
Do you ever? It's funny you're wearing the Simpsons shirt. I know you had the Simpsons iPhone cover.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, do you remember the Simpsons? It was one of the early ones where he's in France, Bart, and he's squishing on the grapes, and he's so pissed because he can't speak French. And then all of a sudden it just like clicks. You know
I
this
don't
one?
remember that. I thought you were talking about Mr. Sparkle. I thought
No. Although I've showed you my Mr. Sparkle thing, right?
No.
Oh, I'll show you that after that. I've been Mr. Sparkled. There's face wipes with my face on it in this fucking country. I'm going to show you that in a second. But it was Bart was a foreign exchange student, and he's in France, and like it's just like this moment where it clicks, where all of a sudden he starts speaking French and he doesn't know it. And I kind of like assume that that's what happened to you, but I guess that can't be real.
But it kind of like clicked because when I started learning it, I was already here for like 3 or 4 years already. So it would be like words that I already heard before, and I was already used to it. So like
nane.
Like none, yeah. I heard. Didn't I hear this guy at Chicago doing it or something?
Right. He was wearing the jacket.
Yeah. So that's how it wasn't as hard as I thought. You know.
Do you, when you speak, do you like translate it in your head still, or is it like natural?
No, it comes out natural.
It just comes-
because there's like some words that you just can't like remember. Oscar Samares, and you hear all these things, and you ask me, what does it mean? And it's like there's really not an English translation to it. So yeah.
Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. So back and forth, you were doing 3 months on, 3 months off. Is that correct?
3 months off, 3 months off, 1 month on, 3 months off.
And what, going back to New York in between?
Yeah.
Just living with mom or what?
Living with mom, yeah. All my stuff would stay there.
Okay. But like, that's not like, I don't know, were you embarrassed by that? Like,
No.
well, that's probably a Hispanic thing.
Yeah.
Hispanic, was that right? Cubans are Hispanic?
Like
No.
like later on as the years went by, like people would be like, I would meet people that weren't into wrestling, and I'm like, who do you live with? And then I'll be like,
Yeah.
but
in
in
your head-
wrestling, I guess it's acceptable. Well,
But also in your head, it's like, I live in Japan half the time, right?
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's how I would justify it. Yeah.
Well, I leave my stuff there, you know. So when I come back, you know, I don't pay rent, you know.
Nice. And so when does it come to the point where you're going full time?
When I went to Osaka, when I changed from Kaientai to Osaka,
Okay. Kaientai to Michinoku.
I was with Kaientai and working Michinoku at the same time.
Okay.
But then halfway through, that kind of stopped. Michinoku kind of changed their direction, whatnot. So in 2011, I think it was, I quit Kaientai and I went 2012 to Osaka. Pro Wrestling.
Okay. Is that, and that's when you were home in America for a little bit? I remember you were home.
Yeah.
Were you like, oh shit, did you quit and not have a plan, or?
I had a little plan, but I didn't know it was going to come true. Like, I talked to this guy. I was like, yeah, we'll book you in Osaka. But it wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah.
So there was a time where I was like, man, what am I going to do? So I wanted to get work in the States. I was like, I would call people, and then they were like, send the tape.
Ugh.
And it would get me so mad, man.
Of course it would.
It would get me so mad, like, send the tape. But I worked for this company before. You know?
Yeah.
In my head, I wouldn't actually say it. I worked for this company before years ago. I was doing this move. Just send the video and a resume on your email.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And also, I've been in Japan. Japan.
I would always write that, you know, I've been in Japan for a couple of years.
Yeah, full time. So the Osaka works out, and you moved there full time?
Yeah. I had a little room upstairs where the ring was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And explain the schedule, because you said that last year you wrestled how many matches?
253 matches.
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
The Miz ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like Jericho and Ziggler, like they're not running 250.
Yeah. That's why I counted them. I was like, man, I'm wrestling every day here, so I'm gonna count. So whenever I do an interview, I'm gonna say I wrestled such and such amount of interviews.
The one time, finally, I make your dreams come true here. It's all coming because you've never done one. 250.
3 matches.
3 matches.
Yeah.
Body wise, how you feel? I mean, that's a lot.
It was a lot of matches, but like,
How do you do that? I mean, I know, but like, you know, there's some years where I maybe put in 200, a high 100, 70 matches, but yeah. I mean,
see,
it's fine.
the travel wasn't as bad, you know. It wasn't like I was traveling like 253 days. I was in the same town, and the building would be about like 30 minutes away by train. So I would wake up in the morning, go to the gym, work out, go to the arena, wrestle, come back home the same night, my house.
So Osaka Pro, I mean, I think Osaka Pro's running the same arena.
Same arena.
Yeah.
Tuesday through Sunday. They had 1 day off. It was on Monday.
And they have shows every single night.
Every day. They would call it weekday holiday paradise, the weekday shows. And there would be 3 matches, and they would charge 2,000 yen for admission for men, and 1,000 yen for women, and 500 yen for children
That's
under 12.
$20.
$20.
It's kind of expensive for 3 matches. Or not over here?
Not over here. I mean, $30 it's like a regular ticket here. So $20 is kind of like cheap, I guess.
Yeah. And God, so are the same fans coming every single day? It's
Some
different
fans would come every day, but see the building. I don't know if you ever seen the original building. It was in like a big district,
Right.
in Osaka. So, like people that would come to tourists, sightseeing. Like, let's go see Osaka Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have because in the comedy world, they have things called like Barkers or whatever, or they would be outside and they'd have to flyer for an hour.
People would do that.
Is that how
people would do that?
Were the young
yeah.
boys out in costumes? Like,
yeah. Like in Kushimbo. Remember Kushimbo Common?
Yeah.
Kushimbo Osaka Pro Wrestling. And a lot of people don't know Osaka Pro Wrestling. It's a really, really big name in Osaka. When Delphin started, it was pretty big on TV and it was big money.
And how does if you're wrestling every single day at this one place, do you guys have big shows and draw big numbers? Like why would there be if you're getting 40 people every day, like how?
Yeah, I mean, I never understood like why they were doing all these shows.
Yeah.
But
I'll wrestle on them.
I'll wrestle. It's so much fun. They would actually have a big show every month in a place called IMP that would hold like 1,000 people. And then once a year they would have Osaka Hurricane, which was at that place you did for Noah once in Osaka. That was huge arena that would draw like 10,000 people.
Right. Well, Hurricane would show up every week, every year. Right? Shane Helms was there. Yeah.
So
And they would draw?
and they would draw like 4,000 people
Holy
for the
fuck.
big show.
Are they bringing in like Liger and stuff? Or?
They would bring in Liger sometimes. They brought in Seema from Dragon Gate to do like a Dragon Gate versus Osaka feud ones. Yeah.
Just because they're part of the culture. And the sad thing is that they're not around anymore, right?
It's not around. Yeah. I was so happy, dude. I was the champ last year, man. 253 matches was the champ. First ever foreign wrestler to win the belt there. So sad when it.
Yeah.
when
And so like now you're, I mean, kind of not without a company, but you've kind of latched on with Noah a little bit. And so do you feel like a little scared because you've brought yourself over here, you've made a home for yourself in Osaka, and now like is that main income gone or?
No. Like I'm pretty good with Noah now. I'm wrestling regularly every show. I've been since May.
Okay.
It's been half a year.
Did you have a scare when Osaka started to kind of go down?
Yeah, it was a big scare. I was like, man, what am I going to do, man? Another company goes down the drain,
Yeah.
man. What am I going to do? But eventually, like...
And you can't go back to New York because, I mean, you're wifed up, right? So, like, let's say Noah doesn't come and knock, and you're just like a freelance wrestler and a Japanese dude with a wife, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Is that how that works?
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you want to put it that way, I guess. But, yeah, it was a pretty big scare, I guess. But it came, like, the transition wasn't as far as, like, it came in, like, real quick.
Right.
Like, Osaka's going down, but, hey, we want you to come here.
Sometimes I don't know if you feel that, but I always feel that, I don't know. Stuff always just kind of works out. Look how it just worked out,
Right. I couldn't. Thank God, everything just worked out for the best.
And like a lot of us that just still want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about like let's say just that 2001 year, that group of guys for the ones that still want to do it.
Yeah.
They're doing it, and they
They're
find a
doing it.
way.
Yeah, and they're somewhere. And they're doing this and they're doing that. Yeah.
And I think that's the story of this is like we find a way.
Yeah.
You're here you're fucking doing this. Some guys you don't want to do it. Some guys fucking are doing TNA. And so it's just even though there's not that many companies, everyone kind of finds a way to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool, man. I think it's cool. I think it's still that's great that you're here and you're doing it, and it's like you're now a Japanese citizen, man.
Not a Japanese citizen.
Do you have a green?
No.
I don't even know. I could be the most racist person ever.
My passport's still with the American.
I bleed American
I bleed
blood.
American blood, even though I have no American blood in me.
Oh. And for those of you who don't watch, who've never seen Quiet Storm wrestle here, you're now a big grunter.
Big grunter, yeah. Big guy, no.
Yeah, and I guess for those who haven't seen you, you have 20-inch biceps.
Yes.
And I guess that was a big thing that like you totally changed your body.
Yeah, dude, real drastically.
So what you just? I guess I forget that you were just 18 or 19. So like, you were probably like.
Remember,
25.
I used to wear the shirt, the little half cut shirt.
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
Yeah, that was my thing. I used to hear all the guys, well, wrestlers aren't gonna make it with wearing t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
And yeah, you were probably like 25, and you're like, oh, I'm a man now. I'll work out, right? I don't know.
I work out, yeah, but I didn't have money for a gym. Like a big, so I bought like a weight set at home. So when I would back and forth in tours, instead of going to the gym, I would work out at home. Boom, 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 boom.
I mean, but you're a different dude now.
I was 180 pounds. I think we made 175.
Probably.
235 pounds.
Wow, you're 235.
235.
Fuck, and you're like
5'6".
Yeah. That's awesome. God damn. In the heavyweight tournament. Well,
In the
cool,
heavyweight
man.
tournament.
You're on Twitter,
Yep.
right? It's a lot of it's in kanji though.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of American people don't probably follow me. 'Cause they don't understand half what I'm saying. But I mean, what can you do?
Hey.
So once in a while, I'll put an English
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
once in a
So I
while.
mean, like, I guess, is there anything else you'd like? How would you, if maybe Americans wanted to try to follow
on
like,
Twitter, or
is that the best, or just like your career, like keeping in
Yeah, I
contact or in
mean,
touch, or
I would say probably follow it on Twitter or look it up on YouTube maybe.
type in Quiet Storm on YouTube?
Yeah, Quiet Storm Wrestling, because if you put Quiet Storm, like a rapper comes out,
Ah, or a weather condition.
or like a jazz bar or something.
Quiet Storm Wrestling. Well, cool, man. Am I missing anything? I want to make sure. Is there any thing of the story I haven't hit? Anything you want to get out there to the world?
I made up the Canadian Destroyer.
Fact?
In fact, as Chris Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might remember that. Did you used to do it the other way though?
I used to do it running.
So how would that work?
I would
The guy would be bending over.
right in the middle of the ring, and I would go from the corner to corner, and I would jump and bam and do it right there.
There it is.
Yeah, it's
a little
right there.
did you know? I made up the Canadian Destroyer.
Yeah. Chris Hero told me the story the other day how it all came about.
Oh, like Petey saw you do it or something?
Petey saw a video of me doing it at his house, at Chris's house.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you're not the guy going like Stone Cold took my stunner.
No, I mean
there's evidence of this.
Red sometimes like blads it out on Twitter, like stop
Yeah.
lying, Petey. You know if you guys
And they're buddies.
yeah, they're buddies.
Yeah, so that's fun. You're allowed to
Yeah.
fucking. Well, good.
But he
man.
never gave me the credit, so here
Son
it is
of
on
a
the
bitch.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's my move.
Yeah. Well, he's out of wrestling now.
Yeah.
So fuck him.
Just give me the credit, man.
Yeah. Also, you're friends with Scott Stein. I don't know. Okay. you're the original mini
Papa Pump.
quiet pump.
Yeah.
All right.
Peaks, man.
There it is. And 50 centimeters
50 centimeters. Yeah.
in your face.
In your face.
That's your catchphrase.
That's my catchphrase now, yeah.
I like it.
In your face.
All right, buddy. Thanks for being on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that was his catchphrase at the end. It's on his t-shirts over there when he sells them in Japan. Giant Guns and the inventor of moves doing it over in Japan. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that he's made his living and now he makes his life. I think that was the most important part that I wanted to get through, that he just lives there as a dude from New York. Pretty wild. Quiet Storm, thank you. Hopefully you make some new fans. Check him out on YouTube. That is it for this week. Before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and...
Upcoming events.
All right, the best way that you can support ColtMerch.com, digitalcolt.com. I got a Twitter and an Instagram at Colt Cabana. ColtWrestling at gmail.com is my very public email. If you got to talk to me, maybe you're a promoter, you want to put me on your upcoming show or convention, ColtCabana.com is my website. I got a snail mail there. You can send me some good stuff. Facebook/AOW Podcast and Facebook/Colt Cabana. Upcoming Saturday, January 10th, Granite City, Illinois. Facebook/PWCS Wrestling. Then the next day, that's Sunday the 11th for trained wrestlers only. There's only a couple slots left, but if you want to do a clinic with me as a pro wrestler, check out @Dynamo Pro on Twitter. January 16th through the 18th, Miami, Florida, MagicCityComicCon.com, all 3 days. I think I'm wrestling Saturday night, and I don't know how good they've been doing on advertising, but I'm doing live podcasts with the crazy guests that are there. I think Ron Simmons is one of the podcast guests for the week. Tuesday and Wednesday, January 20th and 21st, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Royal Oak, Michigan. I'm doing stand-up opening for Mick Foley, realmickfoley.com to grab those tickets. Friday, January 23rd, Pontiac, Michigan, InsaneClownPosse.com. Sunday, January 25th, Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania, WrestleRumble.com. Watch some wrestling and then watch the Royal Rumble with a bunch of fans. Saturday, January 31st, Winnipeg, Canada, tinyurl.com/Primos Canada. First weekend of February, a dude in Vegas canceled on me, so that's open right as of now. And Sunday, February 15th, London, England. I will wrestle. I swear. I have to, right? RevolutionProWrestling.com at the beautiful York Hall in Bethnal Green, England. That is the show for this week. Big thank you to you at home for listening. You know, I truly, truly appreciate it. Thanks to Quiet Storm for coming on the show. Thanks to Cable Guy Jeff and Stu Stone, Kid Russell and Matt Jenkins on the music, Dane Miller on the tech. Let's thank some sponsors. SuplexApparel.com, a clothing brand team of pro wrestlers consisting of some of the top indie stars in the world. Shipping worldwide, based out of the UK. They focus on apparel for both wrestlers and fans alike. Be like Prince Devitt and represent some SuplexApparel.com. HighSpots.com, hundreds of full-length titles available to download, plus $5 wrestling titles, knee pads, gear, mask, wrestling ring, the Freight Train documentary, which I gave to on the Kickstarter, ProWrestlingTees.com and BarbershopWindow.com, the original alternative and independent wrestling shirt companies, both powered by OneHourTees.com, custom t-shirts made to your liking in an hour, a week, or whenever you need them. And right now, hopefully you're listening through your tweakedaudio.com/Colt earbuds. I'm going to get you over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to this show. The one that's over. All right. I'm done. We're done for the week. Good show, guys. This has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.